Another episode of Conversations with John B. live right here on GQ Radio. And today's guest really doesn't really need any kind of introduction, although you might need to think you do. I want to say a good day to none other than Jason Orpheus. How you doing, man?
I'm good. Thank you, John, for having me. How are you?
Absolutely fantastic. So thank you so much for asking there, man. And really an honor for us to have you on the show. Because strangely, like it, believe it or not, we've been following your career
Wow.
from day one, kind of vibes. And it's always been like, I need to get this guy on my show. I need to get him on my
Yeah.
show. And lo and behold, we've now got you as Jason Orpheus. I want to ask you, for our listeners, would you just give us a brief intro as to who you are, my man?
So my artist name is Jason Orpheus. I'm a singer, songwriter, and of late I'm also a producer. So I've been producing a couple of the stuff that I've been putting out there as well. Started off co-producing and now sort of almost fully producing, arranging, and mastering my own stuff. I'm also an instrumentalist, so I play the guitar. Not great though, but I do play the guitar. And I also play the violin, which I studied for a couple of years. Yeah.
Wow, absolutely fantastic. I always love the fact that artists are able to actually perform with an instrument themselves. It's
Yeah.
and it's not the usuals. The usuals are okay. Well, what's a klavier speel hier and daar. A bit of a piano and a guitar. But I mean, the violin. Now, how did you get to that? Let's get into that quickly. How did it come about that you actually starting to partake in doing the violin?
I started studying the violin when I hit high school. So I did it for 5 years, all the time that I was at high school. And then I sort of lost touch with it, being a young adult, going into my 20s. I lost touch with a lot of things that I picked up musically until I found my feet again. And so I've recently gotten back into the violin because I've wanted to introduce that into my music, into my live performances. But the violin is a beautiful instrument. I love stringed instruments, and it kind of just spoke to me. It always has, and it still does.
Wow. Yeah, I was gonna say, well, you can't really say no strings attached to it.
There's four of them attached.
Oh, it's fantastic. Jason, man, that's fantastic, man. I must be honest, I've obviously been sitting on this track for quite some time now. We've been playlisting it as well since we got it from the PRs. And I'm really excited about this track, man. So let's get into that, the body of work that's obviously now culminated to Ghost releasing.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that journey before we get to the track itself. How's that journey been for you as Jason Orpheus?
Well, Ghost has sort of been I would say it's sort of been the physical manifestation of my rebranding. It was the first song that I did. I produced Ghost myself. I wanted it to be part of who I am now as an artist. This is a body of work that I've created with my own hands from scratch, and that I've written myself as well as performed. I really wanted everything to be as personal and authentic as possible. And so the journey through my rebranding, exploring who I am now as an artist and a human being and a person, all sort of feeds into what I'm doing now musically. And the Ghost was just sort of the sum, or as you say, the culmination of that journey, that process of mine. And it's essentially, it could be interpreted as a love song,
Yep.
of someone not being able to let go and feeling haunted by the presence or the specter or the memory of a loved one. But it was also, for me, it was also about my need to let go of a lot of, I would say, programming, a lot of thinking and paradigms of my own that weren't working for me anymore. A sense of being haunted by regrets as an artist and choices I've made or choices I never made. And yeah, it was about that as well. And I just wanted to make that story a bit more universal in terms of turning it into something that could be seen as a love story.
I love the way you mentioned and explain that, because talking about that, you mentioned obviously rebranding. As I said to you, it was like, I know this face, but I don't recognize the name. Now, for our listeners out there, when you see the poster, you probably think, but I know this guy. Is it his twin brother? You know, uh, it's. I mean, obviously, we all go through stages of our lives and our careers, whether it be personal life or career wise or music wise or whatever the case is. We all grow as artists or people, right? And the way I see the song itself, like you mentioned, is it's literally, it could be, it is a love song. It could be letting go of your former self as an artist with stage name, etc. And some of the decisions you obviously had made or had not made, or you regret not making, etc. Now, we won't delve into that too much because we want to discuss this as a positive about this release, because I really feel that the people have to hear the song. And if they know your music from previous, this year, like you said, being done by yourself, it really does show a different side of you as an artist as well.
Yeah, yeah. Well, my music before, when I started out as an artist, I was very much influenced by alternative rock music. I still am. I absolutely love it. It's sort of my resting form of expression, when I'm not trying to sound cool when I sing.
Yeah, yeah,
But I discovered, that there were as I grew as an artist musically, I discovered there were other genres that I really loved as well. And I wasn't giving up one for the other, but I was just sort of expanding my plate to take them all on and make room for all of them. And I absolutely love jazz and house and the fusions of those two. And so that's sort of the direction that I'm moving in musically now, is just trying to find that sweet spot of jazz and Afro house fusion. I think it's really one of my favorites because there's an emotional element to it, but there's also a happy element to it where you can move and dance as well. And I love dance. My place.
I was about to. I was actually meaning to, like, when you started talking, I was like, you took the words right out of my mouth. I was gonna say that now that you've been, obviously, I was gonna ask who's influenced you in your career. That's another question I want to ask you. But before we get to that, I took a listen to what you're saying. I was like, you know what? What's really benefiting you as an artist right now is the fact that you can actually now listen to the different genres and infuse them all into a sound that is essentially yours, because not every artist is able to take two different genres and blend them together into something that sounds like legit,
Yeah.
So,
Well,
absolutely
I hope
fantastic.
it sounds legit. I mean, this is all new to me as well. I'm learning from a lot of people around me, people that've been doing this sort of thing for years, and I had to empty myself out in order to learn new things. And so for me, it's a journey. It's a journey that I'm constantly trying to perfect and hone and
Yeah.
and be authentic about. I think that fusions have obviously been happening for a long time. People have been blending genres. And there's certainly people out there who've got it down, to an art.
Yeah.
But I mean, my whole mission statement as an artist these days is to be happy and enjoy my artistry. I think a lot of artists, and this is what was the case for me, just to very briefly sort of touch on it, was that I wasn't
Yeah.
happy anymore as an artist. And I wanted to get back to a place where I was happy doing what I was doing. And I felt content, satisfied with the work I was putting out there and the work that I was putting into it. And I'm kind of there. So I'm very happy to be putting out the
That's
stuff that
fantastic.
and I'm so grateful for you guys for playlisting it. I mean, that's gold right there, you know.
Yeah, look, I'll be honest with you. We get a lot of submissions, and this is not trying to badmouth anybody or name shame or name drop anybody, but you get a lot of submissions, especially as an online radio station, because you know how difficult it is to get onto your normal mainstream stations, right? So if I look at it, I do submissions as well. I plug other artists to the mainstream stations, so I can, I live on both sides of the spectrum.
Yeah.
But I know how difficult it is to get playlisted on regular stations, and they're really it's a plethora of submissions all the time. So it takes months to get some kind of feedback, if any, from any station.
Yeah.
Now, figure that they got a whole department that takes care of that.
Yeah.
Here's your department right here. So you have to understand that my ears go through a lot of abuse every day.
That's right, man.
And
I apologize.
It's very difficult. Sometimes, you got to look at it, and you tend to, some of the songs, I'll listen to it today, right? And after you've listened to like maybe a dozen songs that haven't really clicked, and it's like they're not terrible, but it's not the right fit for what I'm trying to portray on the station. But then you listen to a song and it almost skips you, it almost goes through the sift because you've listened to so many things that aren't that good that you're like, you know what? But then you take a listen to it again the next day and it's like gold.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I'm not saying that this is one of those, because when I first listened to it, it was like, that's definitely being played. It was like
affirmation enough for me. It's just a nod.
I think that it's really it's crazy because, we got the track. I didn't at first recognize, because I wasn't looking at imagery or anything. Again, I generally don't even worry about all that until I've listened to the song.
Yeah.
But the minute I listened to the voice coming through, and I was like, I know this voice somewhere. This sounds very familiar. But the sound that was coming out was completely different. So that also threw me off a little bit. So I was like, this is good, right? This is very, very good. So, look, I mean, like I say, I listen to a lot of music, dude. I can't even tell you how much music I have to listen to. And sometimes I even forget what I've listened to before. So it kind of like replays. Yeah. But this is fantastic, man. Jason, tell us more about what is going on with the rest of the body of work. Are you looking at releasing maybe an EP or an album down the line with this music, or has it already been released?
Yeah, definitely. So there's a whole plan that I've got out for this year. We've released Ghost. We actually released a sort of original version of Ghost in December last year, and then this was like a remake of it, to just give it a bit of a more of a funky feel. So then we re-released Ghost again. We've got another single coming up that's in the final post production phase, and that's gonna probably come out in the next couple of weeks. And then we're essentially going to be working our way toward, I say we, it's the royal we, but working my way towards an EP, which I'm looking to launch around about the start of spring. So I'm just doing, so I'm putting music out there for the rest of the year, building up towards that EP, and then, do an EP launch.
That sounds fantastic, man. Jason, I want to definitely put my name in the hat for having a conversation once the EP is dropped.
Oh, awesome. Thank you so much, John. Yeah.
Because I really would love to have a follow-up. But no, well, I'm in the Eastern Cape at the moment, but I travel a lot. So you never know. I'm originally from the mother city. I keep on telling people, and they don't tend to believe me. And I'm like, what? I don't sound that bad anymore. Come on, I've been in P for a couple of years. Don't judge.
Yeah.
I'm born and raised Southern Suburbs boy, man. I'm a Southern Suburbs boy. I can tell you that with honesty. So, yeah, I definitely wouldn't. I mean, I wouldn't pass it up. And if the is saying happening, yeah, let's make a plan. Let's get me down there and let's get there because
So,
it's going to be a vibe.
yeah, no, it's gonna be a vibe. I'm so excited about the rest of this year because I get to do it
Mm.
in my way, and I
Yeah,
get to
that's
take
the most
more
important,
time
buddy.
for my schedule. But there's a certain freedom in that, so I'm very
Yeah,
excited. Yeah.
absolutely fantastic. Jason, I want to ask you one last question before we do wrap this up. And that is literally because you've been in the industry for quite some time now, right? What kind of advice would you be able to give a younger self or younger artist to the industry right now today?
I would give if I'm to give advice to younger artists who are pursuing their dream, I always sort of picture myself giving myself that advice when I was at that stage in my life. And I think that one of the things I wish someone had told me is that when you have a dream, particularly if it's a dream around singing or you want to be in the music industry in some capacity, my advice would be to find people that share your passion sincerely and people that you can build trustful relationships with. And you don't have to know everything in the beginning. You don't have to be well connected. You just need to believe. And I swear the universe will open up doors. The universe will send tools your way. It'll send people your way. And you just need to sort of learn from those experiences. So that would be my advice to young and upcoming singers and songwriters and musicians.
That is fantastic advice. That I think that really does hit home to a lot of people.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. Really awesome. Really great. Jason, where can our listeners get a hold of you? Where can they find you on socials before we do say our farewells to you?
So all my music is currently streaming on Spotify, and you can find anybody can find me on social media under Jason Orpheus. It's across all platforms, including my website, jasonorpheus.com. So I'm looking forward to hearing from all of you guys, all your listeners. And I really appreciate all of your support. And thank you so much, John, for having me on the platform today.
Absolute pleasure, man. We're actually going to be playing the song right after this conversation. So my last act on this conversation is to ask you, as Jason Orpheus, to introduce your release.
Hi, my name is Jason Orpheus, and you're listening to Ghost.
Gated right now. We're back after this.